Okay, I'm going to go through the process of um, what I do when I get a deposit from Barb. The first thing is hang on here, I'm going to share a screen here and we're going to go with 3 right now. First thing I do is I open this up and I download the spreadsheet and the PDF file to, it's going to come over here. Hang on 1 second. Oh, I download it to the OneDrive deposits and adjustments. So you see the 2 files are right there. Okay. The next thing I do is with the spreadsheet, I delete the top row. Okay. And then I create columns: Fin Plan, Spark, QuickBooks, and QuickBooks. And then I do Format Painter, and I go like this, and then I center that and I widen it a little bit. The next thing I do is I highlight these 3 cells. I go into conditional formatting, highlight cells equal to Y, and turn it to green. So what I do is as I'm entering, I put in a Y in these columns. You'll see that here, and it turns it to green, and that way I know I did it. Okay. So that's the first thing I do. The second thing I do is I take the whole spreadsheet and I go over to sort, custom sort. My data has headers, and I sort by account number and open it up. Okay. Then I take this same spreadsheet and I highlight it again and I go up to data, subtotal, get that message. We're going to do a change at each account number, and I want the amount, not QuickBooks. Okay. Now, now I have a subtotal under each one of the headings. Okay. Then I highlight this. So I highlight them in yellow. Okay. Each one of the totals I highlight in yellow. And you'll see why in a minute. Okay. Come on. Highlight in yellow. All right. And as you know, and then I delete that because it double counts it. And there's the total there. And I go over and I verify that it's the same amount. And it is 27,286.52, 27,286.52. Okay. All right. Next thing I do now is I open up QuickBooks. And I open up network restricted password. And then because this has to be determined funds and it also has a fund, a funding payment, I open up Nexus restricted account first. Okay. Because I always do the Spark QuickBooks first. Okay. All right. Now, before I get into that, I'm going to move this over here. Before I get into that, now this right here is a funding payment. So I open up the the church plants and projects, and I find waypoint or I find the I have to find the where is he? He's here. I know he's here. I gotta find the project for Vegas. Vegas. He's right here. Seth, Las Vegas. I'm gonna go ahead and rename this now because the name of the project is Waypoint. Las Vegas, Nevada. Okay. Now I open this up, and I go to the financial update template. Okay. Now, cash flow projections. What I got here is Southwest, and I got to double check here. I believe that's how much they gave. 13,888.88 is what they gave. So I update this to say 13,888 for the funding payment. And I bold it. So they know that I got it. Okay. But that's how much came in, not the 15,625 that was budgeted. So I just put that there. And yeah, and you'll see these numbers are already bolded because those funds came in as part of to be determined funds out of their church planting funds. Okay. So I close this out. And what I do here is I put yes. Okay. The rest of these have nothing to do with the financial plan. So I go and A on that, and it should go all the way down. Okay. All right. Now, the next thing I do is I now bring up QuickBooks, and QuickBooks is right here. I don't think I'm going to be able to do this the way I want to do this. So I'm going to go ahead and try. So this is my Nexus restricted funds, add bank account, right? All right, let's see if I can do this. I think I might, well, I don't want to screw it up. All right. So this is the bank account, right? All right. So what I do here now is I'm going to be updating QuickBooks. The first thing is I always do my to be determined first. So I switch to the to be determined funds. Okay. There's the date. And then I put in receive from Journey. And this is Journey Christian Church. I believe it's that one. And then I put, no, it's not Journey Christian Church LA. It is, it's this one. All right. And then I put the account number, which is 47234. You see it right here, 47234. I put that right here, 47234. And that's Journey Christian Church, right? And then I come over here. Hopefully I can come over here. And I put the amount. And the amount is $1,000. Okay. And on this, I put a yes next to this one. Okay. Come on. There you go. All right. And then I just go down the list. All right. So I am going to put this spreadsheet over here. I know you're not going to see it, but you get the feeling of what I do. So I can have a full screen here. All right. The next one on the list is the Well. All right. The Well Christian Church. The account number on the spreadsheet is 47214. All right. And the amount is 12896. All right. There you go. And I put my Y in the Spark QuickBooks column. Then I go to Iglesia Christian Conexión, and I put in 47229, which is their account number. And I put in the amount of 17114. All right. And I go over here and put yes next to that one. Then I go and I put in JAR Ministries, and it's 47226 is their account number. All right. And we put in 16910, 169.10. And I put a yes next to that one in my Spark QuickBooks column. All right. Then I go Mountain View. Mountain View Christian Church. I put in 47227 is their account number. And over here, I put in 515.39. Okay. And there's a yes to that. And then I verify the amount 198459. 198459 is the total on the spreadsheet. Okay. So I'm going to bring this back over here so you can see it. All right. So as I was entering them, I was putting a yes in this column, and then I put a yes in the total. All right. So that's the total of the to be determined. And then over here, I do a save and close. Now, I've got a restricted fund to update, right? I got this one right here to update. So what I do here is I then add bank deposit. And again, remember, I'm in Nexus Restricted now. Restricted Funds Project. I put in receive from South. Well, okay, I got to capitalize South East Christian Church. This is the first time they have been part of a project. So they're a customer. I'm just going to do save. All right. And it goes into account number 68572. Now, where did I get that? I got that. I'm going to bring this back over here. Okay. I got that account number right here. All right. 68572. All right. Then I put in the amount, which is 13,888.88. Okay. I put a yes in that column, and the total is 13,888.88. I put a yes. All right, just to show you what that looks like. I put a yes here for the amount and a yes here for the total. Okay. And then I save and close. All right. Now I go up here and I switch companies. And I go to Nexus Church Planting. So this is Nexus QuickBooks. Okay. Now, sometimes I do if there's a lot, and I might just go ahead and do it on this one, is I put a thing here, to be determined plus restricted, okay? And I put a little column right here and I go equal the total of to be determined plus the total of restricted funds, okay? And then what I'll do is I'll bold that and I put a little column here. I put conditional formatting equal to yes, and I make that green. And you'll see why I'm doing this in a minute. Okay. All right. So the next thing I do now is what you're accustomed to doing. Right now, I'm in Nexus Church Planting, add bank deposit. Okay. It's going to go into the Cash Prosperity Bank. And you got to check that every time, because sometimes at the end of the month, when I update the interest payments in our savings account, um, the first time I go in to make a deposit, it's aiming at the savings, not the cash, the checking account. And this is the checking account at Prosperity Bank. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do the to be determined funds. So Journey, it's coming from Journey Christian Church of Bettendorf, Iowa. The account number, as you're accustomed to, is 47234. And see, it's to be determined. And then I put in to be determined here. And over in this, I put in the 1,000. And I choose the class to be determined. And I mark yes in the spreadsheet. So let me just bring this over so you can see what I was doing. So I put in who it came from, Journey Christian Church, Bettendorf, Iowa. I put in that account number right there. So the correct to be determined came up. I put in to be determined in the description and the amount 1,000, and I put the class TBD. Okay. So we're going to go through this now on each one of these. The next one is the Well Christian Church. To be determined is 47214. The Well Christian Church, there it is. To be determined, and the amount is 128.96, and the to be determined gets designated in the class. Okay. I put yes in my column on the spreadsheet. The next one is Iglesia Christian Connection. And then I go 47299 is the account number. That's right there. I put in to be determined. And I put in the amount 171.14 and choose class to be determined. All right. Then I do the next one is JAR. And it says the JAR Ministries, but in QuickBooks, it's JAR Ministries Inc. That's their official. So 47226 is the account number, which is the to be determined. I put in to be determined. I put in the amount of 16910. And I choose class to be determined. Okay. Then I put in the last one on this deposit, Mountain View. Oh, it'll help if I. Oh, come on. Mountain View Christian Church. The account number is 47227. I do to be determined. And I put in the amount, 515.39, and that's to be determined. All right. Yes. And then I verify it's 1984. It's 198459, and it's 198459 is the total on the spreadsheet. So just so you can see what I did there. Okay. So as I was entering them, I put in the yes, and then I verified that this amount is the same as what is in QuickBooks, 198459. Okay. There you go. All right. Now, the next thing I do, the next thing I do is I do the restricted accounts. So this one is a little more tricky because you got to go 41050, which is the temporary restricted for revenue. Okay. And I'm going to put in the account number 68572. Okay. And I'm going to put in the amount 13888.88. And I'm going to put restricted. Okay. So, and a yes here. Okay. And a yes there. So what I just did was I put in 41050. This is the account number, and then the amount, and highlight and put it in as a restricted fund. I put yes here, and I validated yes here. Now, if you see right here, I've got 1587347. I have 15, the to be determined and restricted are 1587347. So I put a yes right there. Okay. And I verify that those two totals are correct. Sound good? All right. Now, the next thing I do, I'm going to put this over here because I want it here. The next thing I do now is I do the rest of the spreadsheet, just the totals. So 40011 is donation to individual. I put in the amount, it's 6250. And I put in that's operations. And I highlight just the total column with a yes. Okay. And then there's 40012, which is supporting churches. And I put in the total amount there, which is 4441.66. And I highlight that. I choose the class of operations for that one. And I put in yes in my spreadsheet. And then I go to for which is the multiplying churches, and that is 721.39, and that is operations. All right, and I put a yes there. Now the total is 2728652, 2728652. All right, and I say yes, and I also go back and I verify on this also 2728652, 2728652, and it's also on the spreadsheet. Okay. All right. So this is what it looks like when it's all done. There's a yes here. There's a yes for this total. There's a yes for this total. There's a yes for the total of the deposit, and there's a yes for the to be determined and restricted. All right. Now I close this out. All right. And what I do is I type in the memo, bank deposit, bank deposit. And what I now do, I think I'm going to put it here. I bring up that, I'm going to just show it to you. I bring up this spreadsheet, this folder, deposits and adjustments, right? And what I do is I drag and drop okay. I drag and drop the spreadsheet and the PDF, all right? And then I move those into the 2026 folder, okay? Close that out, and then I save and close. All right. And then what I do with this one here is I put this in a deposits folder, financial deposits for Nexus, and I close those out. All right. All right. So that are the steps for putting in a, let me stop sharing here. Those are the steps for completing a bank deposit when Barb sends the report to Andrew Waka, Ryan, and myself.